Welcome to We the Thunder. It's Shootey, and I've taken over the show this week. 2 weeks ago, I was out, and Thomas Schooley was running the show. Now I'm running the show.
Wow, that's a nice shooter.
Thank you very much. But I can't do it myself. You guys would all leave if it was just me talking here for 45 minutes to an hour by myself. Plus, you can't tell, my voice is about to die on its own here. So I brought some friends. You know, Mr. Johnny Vegas.
Look at this guy.
What's up?
There he is from Enrasion, the new Rays podcast. So he's joining us to talk Little Bolts hockey again. And first timer on the show, Laura Henderson. You know her. You've seen her at Amalie Arena. She's always on the Jumbotron. I don't know how you do that. I don't know if you pay off the cameramen to do that. But she's got a really interesting story. And also went on the entire – she also disappears and comes back a lot. And she also disappears and goes to a lot of Lightning away games. So we'll definitely be talking a little bit about that. So let's kick it off and talk about the last game. Big game against the Boston Bruins on Wednesday night. And the Bolts make a statement and beat the Boston Bruins again this season. I told you guys before the show I was driving, so I listened to the game, which, by the way, is kind of fun. It's a different way to do it when you get to listen to Michigan. And it was a home game, so Esposito, you get to hear him groan and stuff. I think there was an audible groan at the play we were talking about with one of the new guys, Dumba, with the turnover on that game. He didn't like that one bit. But what do you guys think of the game? First, we'll start with you, Laura. Did you go to the game on Wednesday?
Sorry if I keep cutting out. I'm back. It must be my internet. Sorry, you guys. But yes, I was there. I was in section 301 for that game. The energy was turned up. The guys were clearly turned up. You can tell they're hungry again. They're ready for the playoffs. They're pushing for the playoffs, and you could tell it was intense. The energy was, the game was, and
they pulled it off in the end.
They did.
John, what'd you see on Wednesday night versus the Bruins?
I like the back checking, and more importantly, I actually like the physical play in the neutral zone. We were hitting. We were playing physical. We were using the body, and then we used the speed. There were some really great passes. The pass to Scheifele to get that goal. We split two defenders with it, but there's definitely a jump that we didn't have earlier in the season.
Yeah, and we kind of talked about it last week. Like, what has happened to this team? Like, all of a sudden, the switch is flipped. What is it? 8 out of the last 9 games, or points
against good teams too.
Yeah, it's not like they're playing bad teams. And we kind of talked about it last week, but we've had a few games since then. I'm curious, John, your thoughts on that. But we'll start with Laura. What do you think has really happened since the team started to really turn things on and not leaving any points on the table these last 8 or 9 games?
Well, I just think I feel like they've been in this position quite a few times over the years where it comes down to like crunch time. It comes down to the wire. We've got our backs against the wall. It's coming down to, the points and stuff, for a lot of teams. But for us, it's just we get in this position, and I think it just kind of fuels that fire and kind of getting in playoff mode right now. And, with the addition of Dumba and Duclair, I think that just added the piece to the puzzle that we're kind of missing, having Sergachev out and just some of the injuries, just all the things moving around, these pieces moving around, injuries, guys coming in, out. You got Geno back. I think we're we're on a good headspace. We're on the same like page. The lineups are good. Everything's just working. I think they've just found their flow.
Yeah. John, you see anything different from last week that stands out?
I think there's a calmness. There's a little bit of swagger that we did not have earlier in the season. And I think trade deadline passing, we picked up what at the trade deadline. And, Schooley touched on this last week about the players after the trade deadline. You're not worried about if you're leaving, if you're going, you're buying, you're selling. So I think there's a swagger and a calmness that we didn't see prior to the trade deadline.
Yeah, something changed. I mean, everyone's going to point back to that trade deadline, but I still think it's a combination of, Stamkos is scoring points now. We talked about February, 4 points for him, which is so rare. Almost had that 30th goal on Wednesday for a couple minutes, which, by the way, it sounded like on I was listening to the game. It sure sounded like, and of course I watched the replay when I got home. It looked like that was a tough one to overturn, right? If you overturn it, it's got to be pretty conclusive. I didn't see anything, and I didn't see enough to overturn it. Do you think that was like some original six loving from?
It had to be because I watched both angles that they were showing on TV, and I did not see any white in between the blade. I guess they said they did. I don't know how.
That was the official word on that. But yeah, a combination of things with Stamkos heating up. Vasi kind of had a down month in February as well. And what's funny is we're used to March in the beginning of April kind of being the Lightning slump season because we're already in position. We don't have to play desperate hockey because we're already in. And, we're all kind of like kicking ourselves going into playoffs being like, are these guys going to be able to do anything in the playoffs? And then, of course, playoffs comes along and it's like, oh, there they are again.
They're back.
Yeah. So this year they just had to do it a little bit earlier, I guess, because they weren't in playoff position. Obviously haven't clinched that playoff spot yet, but we're right on the heels of Toronto all of a sudden with 2 head-to-heads against Toronto coming up here in the next couple weeks.
And their number one goalie is out.
Exactly. So the tide is turning here, and we might see Tampa jump out of a wild card spot and grab that 3rd spot. Do you think it really even matters, though, what spot they get? Are you guys rooting for different matchups? We've been playing Boston really well. You guys want Boston?
I don't know that it matters, especially for this team. There's so much depth and experience in the Stanley Cup Finals and in the playoff with all the playoff runs. And it's a different game when you get to the playoffs. It's not called the same. It's called completely differently. And I think the Lightning are going to match up well and play whoever the same way. They're going to play what they've been doing, that shut down the neutral zone and capitalize on the chances that we do get.
Yeah, and I mentioned it a couple weeks ago. It is this time of year where it starts to transition into playoff hockey. You don't see these crazy high-scoring games. You see the teams starting to play a lot more defensively, and the Lightning just know how to play playoff hockey. Laura, what about you? Are you kind of cheering for different matchups in the playoffs? Are you wanting to see that sunshine showdown again? Uh-oh.
Sorry. I should have tried a different way while we had the chance. But I think what you said was who I want to see in the matchup, or does it matter? I mean, after the game the other night with Boston, I wouldn't mind seeing that first round matchup with Boston. I think it would just add a little extra energy to that first round. But it would just be a good matchup. We've played many teams in the first round. The Panthers, they're pretty hot right now. the Rangers. You know, that was a good game. That I don't know if y'all were at that game. The last home game that we had before we went on the road, that was a really good matchup. I love those games where it's like toe to toe, like we've got a hockey game now. And either way.
Hey, at least like it dropping you, but at least it brings you right back. So just keep going.
I wonder if I take it off of my Wi-Fi, it could be my Wi-Fi. So I just don't want to exit out of it and just completely.
Yeah, you're fine. You can drop if you want and try to come back.
Yeah, during this stretch too, the Lightning have shut down some really good teams. They shut down the Bruins. They shut down the Panthers. They've shut down New York. They battled back to fight, to get a tie against the Kings. They shut down Vegas, and they just played really good, what we would call playoff defensive hockey in those games against teams that are in. So.
Yeah, but what happened? Like, how did this happen? Because they were not playing tight defensively all season long.
Guys getting healthy, the trade put players in, and it allowed, and Schooley touched on this too, it's putting players down where they should be playing on the roster, on that third line, on that fourth line. They're not playing up. And then there's been some just chemistry that we're seeing that with that, Duclair, Point, Kucherov, Scheifele with, Tanner and Glendening. I mean, that line gelled the other night. They played really well together. I think that is happening too, and that's John Cooper. Being able to put guys together and know that they're going to feed off each other.
I see a Ross go in the chat. The Duke is on fire. I don't know.
He's in a slump.
Didn't score.
He's in a slump. One game slump.
Super disappointed. I think we're trading. Oh wait, we can't trade him too. Yeah. So it's just wild how they're really kind of heating up just at the right time here. And if they can kind of keep that momentum going into the playoffs, that none of these teams that we're talking about want to play the Lightning. They want that second wild card team, or they want Toronto at this point, who's kind of fallen behind. So I think the Lightning are putting kind of the NHL on notice again, just in time for playoffs. I'm curious, like, how these teams are looking at the Lightning as they kind of rise in the standings here right at the right time. All right, let's talk about that road trip that turned everything around. Some would say that the Lightning had a good luck charm there, and that would have been Tony. Laura, so you had a pretty epic trip, and it wasn't your first trip. You're on the journey to 32. So what does that mean? Why are you doing it? What does that mean? And how many of the 32 have you already hit?
So far, I have hit 16. That journey started 2 years ago when I went to my first away game. It was during the playoffs, round one with the Panthers. Talk about some energy. That was, a very energetic game. But that's when I realized how well our fan base travels and how we travel with that energy no matter where we go. And I just wanted to be a part of that. I wanted to be a part of something more. And so that's where this journey to 32 was, the idea came up. And I just think life is a journey. I moved down here, and we can get into my story whenever you want to, but I moved down here in 2018 and I went to my first hockey game. Actually, I was in a rehab, and that's just a part of my story. I struggled with addiction and alcohol and stuff. And so the one I came to after moving to Florida actually took me to my first Lightning game. So my recovery is actually tied to my passion for the Lightning and my passion for life. And like I said, just the journey. Life is about, for me, it's about a journey, and the journey is about making experiences and making memories and doing stuff and just getting out there and living life. And so that's what I'm doing with going to all these arenas. I just created this bucket list, and I've never done a bucket list in my life because I've just met so many people that have them, and they've had them all their lives. And so I wanted to do something that, just meant a lot to me, and, also a way that I could inspire others to, whether it's in sports or just in their life, just like you have to have something you live for, whether it's the work you do or the stuff that you do out. Like, I'm very passionate about the work I do as well, but I'm very passionate about the Lightning. I have to have a life outside of work. And so, yeah, I went to my first away game 2 years ago and kind of got that travel bug bit me good. And I went to, last season, I went to Carolina, Nashville, Detroit, Pittsburgh back-to-back, Rangers, Islanders back-to-back. And then this year, I've been to 8 games so far, and we've won 6 out of those 8 games. So I would say I'm a good luck charmer. At least I would like to think so.
Keep going.
Went to I hope to bring that same luck to Washington, because I go to Washington next month, and I'm just really excited. It's really cool seeing all the arenas and actually getting to experience different fan bases like in their home arenas. And I've felt so welcome at all of them. I guess the most surprising one was Boston. I went to earlier this year, and it was the game they beat us 7-3. We had a good start, but we did not finish well that game. But their fans were super welcoming. I was 2 rows behind our players' bench, and surrounded by Bruins fans. But we were chirping and just cracking up. They didn't heckle me too bad. They were, I guess, polite as they could be about it, but it was fun. They made it fun. Like, they made chirping fun. But when the ones that are here, it's not fun. And so actually one of their fans, there was a group of guys in front of me, and about halfway through the first period, the guy was like, "Do you want to trade seats with me?" And so one of their fans traded seats with me so I could sit on the glass right behind our players' bench. So it was super cool. Yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah.
I've noticed that when I've gone to, and I haven't been to nearly as many as you, but when I've gone to away Lightning games, there's definitely a sense of respect for the Lightning these days from other fan bases, which is nice. But have you been to Philly yet, though?
That I almost went. There was, what was it, last month we played them on Sunday, and I almost flew up and back in one day. And I've done that kind of, like, if there's been like a Saturday game, I'll fly up that morning and fly back the next morning, but I have not been to Philly yet.
Yeah, that one might be the one that breaks you.
So I was in Philly. I was in Philly, and it was a baseball game, and I was asked to leave a bar because I clapped for the other team. So it's tough up there in Philly.
Jeez. Can't even clap at a bar for your team?
Yeah. Hey, it was a free tab. I said, if you're kicking me out, you're paying my tab.
Fair enough.
So fair enough, right?
We should use that everywhere we go now.
Right.
I think I've heard Vancouver's pretty rabid too. I don't think you've made your way all the way. Like, that's as far as you can go to see a game, right?
Yeah, I almost went, because when we went to Seattle, I think that's just across the border. Yeah. But we didn't plan for all that. I did have a friend that did both games, but we didn't plan for that. We did do Seattle. We just flew in that morning and flew back the next morning. That's what I've done with Seattle, Boston, Buffalo, and Columbus. Those are the single games I've went to this year. So I haven't done any Canadian games. That'll be either next year or the next. I started this journey with a 5 to 10 year plan, and I'm
You're ahead of
Who knows?
schedule.
Yeah.
I
So-
might just beat that. So
I have a question for you. So when you go to these away games, are you always close to the players bench? And if so, do they notice you guys? Because I see on TV sometimes where you're like, oh, I see that guy at a lot of games, away games. So do they notice you? Do they interact with you?
they do, whether it's during warm-ups. Sometimes I get pucks from like Stamkos or Paul. Those are like my favorite players, and so
Nice.
they'll throw over one. Actually, in LA, the hotel they were staying at is literally right next to the arena. So I went over there. I know what time the buses leave and go to the arena. So I caught a few of them coming out of the arena. And surprisingly, Johansson came out and he went the other way where I was standing. And he actually recognized me by saying, "Oh, you're a long way from home." I was like,
Oh,
"Yeah,
wow.
I'm traveling.
Nice.
I'm on this journey." So I got to share a little quick story with him. I was like, "Yeah, we're doing the whole West Coast." So yeah, some of those guys like Braden Point, I've, had just many conversations with him and Stamkos and Nick Paul, and some of them know me by name, and a lot of them do recognize my face. And so it's cool. And not just the players,
That's
the
very
coaching
cool.
staff. I ran into Franz or Nigel and even Cooper. I ran into him after the Anaheim game. And mind you, I think I was telling you earlier, I dressed up as a duck hunter for that game. And I had camo paint. I had an orange hat. I had an orange waiter outfit and binoculars, duck call. I had little toy stuffed ducks, and I was all the whole get up. And so I ran into Cooper after the game, and I was like, "Cooper," and he came over, and I was like, "You don't remember me, do you?" He was like, "Oh, it took me a minute." But he's like, "Yeah, I didn't recognize you with the face paint." But he's like, I know who you are. So it's pretty cool. I've had many conversations with them. I talk to them just like I'm talking to you or the players, or just I like to make it, personal and just have conversations with them and not just, "Can I get a picture?"
I'm totally going to exploit you. I'm going to give you a stack of these We the Thunder cards.
There you go.
Vinny
Do
Lecavalier
it.
got
Do
one a
it.
couple weeks ago. Still hasn't called me yet, though.
Yeah. Let me get some. I'll take him to Washington. I'll see him for sure.
Nigel knows us. He's been on here before. He's a great
I played hockey with that guy in 1994. He was ridiculously good.
Who, Nigel?
Nigel. It was roller hockey too, but he was super fast, and if he shot it, it went in. He was ridiculously good.
You played with Pat Maroon before too, haven't you?
I played against Pat Maroon, not with him.
Oh, nice.
You want to play with him, not against him.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
He beat up one of my teammates.
Ouch.
And he was just a kid. I think he was only 19, maybe 20. He was playing for the Eels.
So he's possibly still in shape.
Yeah. No beard.
My closest claim to that is I've coached a pickup game with Brian Bradley on it. That was another cool story that happened this season. Have you heard of the Rink of Dreams or the celebrity shinny?
Yeah,
So
the shinnies.
I participated in that this year. I did more of a coaching role next year. I already put my deposit down for next year so I can actually play and skate. But I got to get out there and skate and skate around with Brian Bradley, and I was on Team Brian Bradley. So now every time I see him at the arena, I saw him the other night. I was like, "Who's your favorite coach?" He's like, "You are." So it's just cool, just chirping with him too, even on the bench. So it's cool, getting to stand where John Cooper stands for all these games, and actually coach a team with Brian Bradley as the captain. And so it was fun. We won.
Yeah.
So that helped.
If you've never had the chance to skate at Amalie, or I want to say the tour, but the tour doesn't really bring you out on the ice or the benches. That Rink of Dreams or Shinny, or whenever you get a chance. In fact, good segue to my friends at GTE Financial, because if you sign up for that Bolts card, one of the things that they've added on is extra $100 when you sign up, but also 4 tickets as well to a skating event at, I'm assuming, Amalie Arena. It doesn't say it on there, but I'm assuming at Amalie. So that's a really good chance, if you haven't ever had this experience, go sign up to get that Bolts card. We'll be posting about it in the next couple weeks. And it is your last chance to sign up for that VIP game day experience. So if you have not signed up for that experience, you listen to this show, you probably already know. 4 glass seats on April 17th. By the way, that's the last game of the season. Toronto Maple Leafs coming to town. That might decide where we go in the playoffs, that home game, and you'll be on the glass right behind where the goalie sits and where the Lightning strike twice. Also, the Cooch signed stick and a Lightning swag bag. So that's free to sign up for if you go to GT Financial. I'll put the link in the chat to notes and all that good stuff. So GT Financial, official Bank of the Bolts. All right, so back to your last road trip, right? Awesome trip. I was kind of following along with Tony had some really funny Facebook posts while you guys were out there. It started in Vegas, right? So it was Vegas to Northern California for the Sharks, and then it was the LA area teams, the Kings and the Ducks back to back. So that's a really solid 4-game trip. And by the way, they were in Sunrise for the beginning of that trip. You weren't down there. You'd already been to that arena. Out of those 4 games, what was like the highlight for you? Was there one like area that you loved, or was there like one game that you were like, that game was really awesome? Well, do you have any favorites?
Well, I say like as far as like arenas go, I mean Vegas. I mean you can't go wrong with Vegas. Their opening show, they just had these like where the jumbotron is, like the lights were just going in all different directions, and it was cool. They had like kind of like we have like with the drum line, like, but they had it like it just looks like a castle inside. It was just phenomenal arena. Just the performance too, the Lightning's performance, like we really performed. LA too. So we were actually in a suite it was Armenian Heritage Night, and this Armenian family apparently had bought this suite, and there was 2 people that couldn't go, so they posted their tickets on Ticketmaster, and I think we got those tickets like $120 a piece in a suite.
Wow.
And so this family, they were alive. That was the game that we did lose in overtime, but just the fun that we had, the energy, like it was just that mutual like good time. Like everybody just had a good time. And Anaheim was good too. Like, I mean, it's probably the arena is but it's Anaheim. It's an older arena. So, but again, I actually ran into Vo Williams. Surprisingly, did not know he was going to be at that game. Got a picture with him. He loved the Duck outfit. Ran into Jen Epstein, who's I think I don't know what news channel she's on, but she's a big Lightning fan. She's at Fox. Okay.
Yeah. She
I
follows
don't watch
podcast.
the news, so
I've tweeted at her. She follows us. I've tweeted at her to come on the show, but she hasn't answered yet. So come on, Jen.
Okay. Come on, Jen. I messaged her too because Scott, who's one of the runs one of the cameras at Emily, wanted to connect her and the organization that I work for. But so I ran into her at the Anaheim game. That was a surprise. Bo ran into Head. He lives in LA now, but he wasn't at the LA game. I mean, it was just San Jose was good. That was a good game. We definitely, earned our spot and earned that win. So I guess there was like highlights to all of it. And
yeah, I thought you would say the Ducks because it was that overtime win, and whenever you win in overtime.
That was we were on the glass for that.
Right in front of Tony Sorelli, not the Tony you went with, the Tony that was scoring the game-winning goal.
So we were actually on the opposite side for that. Yeah, I was thrilled that we won, but because we wanted to be in the corner where we shot twice, for the first and third period. So we were like sure we were gonna like get to see like the game winning goal, but we did it. So but it was fun. I got to at the end of the game, their mascot came out on the ice and came over in the corner. And so I got a bunch of pictures and was, heckling him a little bit. And it was fun. I got some pictures where he had like, his hand on his head. And so it was funny. It was fun.
That's cool. By the way, Thomas Schooley can't make the show, but apparently he can watch it while he's, slinging pizzas or whatever he's doing. We'll see. And Mandingo is in the house. Hey, everyone. Happy Friday. Friday, one of those Friday happy hour shows. I hope everyone's enjoying their dinner. I saw the first post here from I'm right. Can you hold on a couple seconds? I got to get some ketchup for my fries. Trust me, my family's out there like texting me like, when are you going to dinner? I'm like, listen, we got to get the show in when we can get the show in. It's a busy time. We're like all over the place with our schedule lately. But guess what? Once the playoffs hit, we're live after every single playoff game. So I kind of dread it because especially when we win the Stanley Cup, we're talking like lots of games, lots of late nights, but I'll take it for a Stanley Cup. All right. So yeah, really cool trip. And you're right. I've been to a Bolts game in Vegas. Like the presentation is like none other. I know we do a really great job and I suggest everyone to get there early to see ours, but Vegas is probably like the best in the business. If you go to a game there, you got to go early and see the whole presentation of everything. And I don't know, that's got to be one of the best places to go to an away game with you're right there on the strip, basically almost a brand new stadium. You can't really beat that one. John, have you been to any away games?
I have not, unfortunately.
We're gonna bring you someday, buddy. I'm gonna bring
they
you down.
Actually they had people dressed up as like knights in shining armor.
Mm-hmm.
It's so cool. And they were like they had the drums, they would go around. They actually came up. It was the one game we sat like up top because we just got really good deals at the other games for the lower bowl. But yeah, a guy dressed in like all like night, like medieval night gear, and banging on the drum. So it was cool. I got a couple pictures with him, and yeah.
Would you? Is that what you would recommend? If you were like, if we could only send John to one place to watch the Lightning,
Vegas, hands down,
right?
Vegas.
There's just too much going on there. See, I'd put Vegas one, but I'd put Nashville, which is like miniature Vegas too, because there's just again like the location of the stadium, right? Like you walk outside and there's music.
I've been to that stadium.
Okay, so you know some of the experience there.
I mean, they had a live band inside of their arena. I mean, it's Nashville.
Yeah.
I got a kick out of that. I'm like, this is like the coolest. Where's our band at?
Right. So out of all the arenas that you've been to, the away games, so if you drive around Tampa, you see Lightning stuff everywhere on the side of the buildings, hanging from the on the bridge, both sides of the bay. And a couple of years ago, I was down in Sunrise working, and I actually wanted to go to that playoff game, but I couldn't get tickets. It was sold out, and I was shocked that nowhere in the city was there anything Panthers playoff hockey. Nothing. There was no advertising, and it was really surprising to me. Do you see that in other cities when you go? Do you see a lot of banners or the so and so's playing?
Yeah, places like Nashville or Pittsburgh. I feel like definitely Boston. You see that all around the city. A lot of those, I always find like a place that's either within walking distance or a couple minutes down the road. So haven't ventured too far out, but those big names, they do, they love their city and their city loves their hockey. So I feel like, obviously I'm biased, but I feel like our stretches out so far because the Tampa Bay area is so big. But definitely.
It's a culture here.
Well,
right? Like we have it. It's everywhere.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I do think our experience just keeps getting better. Even if you just look back like 4 or 5 years ago, Emily's downtown, but it's kind of out, like there wasn't much around it, right? And now it's just like, it's packed on game days, and you've got all those restaurants packed too, and they're all mostly brand new, right? So I think that experience is just going to get even better as they talk about expanding like Riverwalk and everything that they've got in store for downtown Tampa. So we're definitely a destination. Trust me. Like I know we see it when all these North teams are here, but I still stand by most of those Bruins fans from Wednesday night, or at least 80% of them. You live here now, all right?
Yeah.
So
and they wear their Lightning jerseys to the
yeah,
other games.
they'll be there Saturday cheering against the Islanders, right? So they'll be on our side, but whatever. I used to live up north, Laura. I don't know if you know this, but I used to live up north. I was a fan of the Washington Capitals because I used to go to their games when I was a kid. But I've lived here for a long time now, and I watched the team win 3 Stanley Cups. Like, come on, cheer for the local.
You made the right choice.
You
made the right choice.
If you're going to move back to Boston, then you can cheer for Boston, but put your house for sale and move. Yeah, I'll stand by that. I know we don't have any Boston or all these other like New York fans listening to this podcast. They come later on the YouTube feed and comment and talk shit. Like, what's last week's show?
Which, speaking of that, like they had the giveaway during the Rangers game. They had the shirts and stuff. And I think by the time like Corner got that third goal, that hat trick, there was a few Rangers fans, and I'm pretty sure they were like, they could have been STMs because they just took the shirt and put it on over their Rangers jersey. So I'm like, yeah, we know who you're really a fan of, so it's funny. But then they started throwing the shirts over on the ice, like people were throwing their hats. So I was like, not really okay, but you can put the shirt on, just don't throw it on the ice. But it was funny.
Yeah, for real. But that's just the Tampa Bay market. We've got so many people. Nobody's from Florida. Although, John, you might be a native Floridian.
I was born in Orlando.
Wow.
And I've lived over in this side of the state for 31 years. But I am a Florida boy.
Freak.
Yes, I've lived on both sides of I-4. From Daytona to here.
What's your favorite side?
This side.
It's got to be. All right. Do you know I'm right to asking the magic number right now for the playoffs? Schooley's not on the show. Like that's his thing. He had the magic number ready in December. I think
he posted that it was 10.
Is it already done to 10?
That was the last thing I saw.
There you go. Steve just confirmed it.
10.
That 10. I don't pay attention to stuff like that. Let's just win the rest of the games.
Right.
All right. So looking ahead, we've got the New York Islanders in town tomorrow night. There is a tailgate with Sticks of Fire. If anyone wants to go early, I'll be there hanging out before the Islanders game. So go check it out if you want to come join us with Sticks of Fire, or we'll be there. John, come on. You should come too.
Come on down, John.
Questionable.
Easter weekend plans.
Busy Easter weekend. And we've
got
family.
It's family friendly.
Yeah, come on, John.
Yeah.
Hockey is definitely family friendly.
Is Sticks of
until
Fire
you've had your fourth pub.
Will Sticks of Fire do an Easter egg hunt though? I gotta call Tony and see if we can get this sorted. Easter egg hunt, or maybe like a puck hunt instead. Right, we'll do hockey themed. I'll work on that with Tony. We've got less than 24 hours to figure it out.
Let's hop on a call.
I'm gonna pull up the standings here because I haven't looked at this in a week and see where we're at compared to our friends in New York. And of course, that's the one I don't want to look at. But come on. Division wild card is what I want. Where are the Islanders today? The Islanders are on the outside looking in, so they're going to be playing desperate hockey. Your Tampa Bay Lightning have 87 points. The Islanders have 77 points, and we've both played 72 games. So this is going to be a tough game. We've been beating the teams that are ahead of us in the standings, which is a good thing. But the teams that are behind in the standings are going to be playing desperate hockey. So as it stands right now, the Islanders are on the outside looking in. They've got the Red Wings above them, and then the Washington Capitals are right now in that wild card 2 spot behind us by 6 points. So Islanders, we typically play pretty well against them. At the beginning of the year, we had a bad game against them. They are on a 1-game winning streak right now, and they're 3-6-1 in their last 10 games. Anything you guys would be looking for in the game on Saturday?
For me, it's to continue the defensive play that we've been playing, that shut down the neutral zone. These are 2 big points for both teams, but even bigger for, the Islanders. I would just say just keep doing what we're doing, that shut it down in the neutral zone and minimize the chances and keep the shots as far out in the corners as you can.
Yeah, I agree. And just, keeping those hits going, just keeping the momentum going, like hitting the ground running in the first period and just kind of like establishing that dominance. Like it is going to come down like to who's hungry in that game. Both teams are real hungry. Both teams are in the fight for a spot. So I think it'll be another toe-to-toe game. At least that's what I'm hoping for. So we'll see.
Yeah, it should be a playoff type of atmosphere in there at Emily tomorrow. So we'll see. I think the Islanders have a lot to prove. They've got to win these games to jump up and catch the Caps, because it's funny because these teams that are fighting for that last spot in the wild card, they're not doing too well. You've got the Capitals, which seem to be the team that just won't die, who's not playing horrible. They're 6-4 in their last 10 games. And then the Red Wings, in typical Red Wing fashion, have just completely fizzled out here towards the end. And like I mentioned, New York has not played that good in their last 10 games. And I'm talking about the Islanders, not the Rangers. The Rangers have actually played pretty good. They're on a 4-game winning streak. So yeah, Emily Arena. I'm excited because I haven't been to a game in weeks. I've been out of town so much I've been out of town for the last couple homestands. So it'll be my first time back in the arena in a while. We got the Red Wings on Monday night, the rare Monday night hockey game against the Red Wings, and they are coming to town. That's another big game, right? They're behind us in the standings. Must win for them. You think actually the Red Wings have played us pretty good this season? You guys think we can turn the tables on that?
I do. Yeah, we're playing a much better brand of hockey than we were earlier in the season, especially when we faced them last time. And it's been a couple months. I have to look, but no, we're playing much better defensively, especially. We're also playing in the boards better. Behind Vassy, these last 3 games we've played really well behind him on the boards, except for the Dumba play. But other than that, they're winning battles. They're getting the puck out of the zone, and yeah, I think we win this.
Yeah,
Laura, any thoughts on Detroit? Have you been to Little Caesars Arena?
Yeah, it was fun. That was it was about a year ago. It was last season, beginning of the year. We beat Detroit and then we lost in Pittsburgh the next night. Yeah, same, just to echo what he said, I think we're just going to keep doing what we do, and we've found, a system that works. It took all season, but I think we have the lines that, they're set up the way they need to be, and we just need to, keep pushing. And, when we find out what works, we keep doing it instead of switching things around, which I think just took some time. So with Detroit, I'm not too worried about. Again, I think it's just going to be another game that we have to be the one that wants it more and just stay consistent. So.
Yep. And then we've also got the Maple Leafs in a big 4-point game on Wednesday, April 3rd, and then over to Montreal. So back to back, which is never fun, in Canada on Thursday night, and then a trip to Pittsburgh before we come back to Amalie Arena. So, yeah, some big games here. By the way, Wednesday night game, Thursday night game. I don't know when we're going to do the show next week. I'm going to push for a post-game show because I'm pretty sure we're going to make the playoffs, and I think we got to dust off the dust bunnies for the playoff post-game shows. So stay tuned for more news on Wednesday, Thursday night. We the Thunder post-game show. And believe it or not, that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 games that we have left. So we are getting down to the end of it here. And as we talked about, we're looking like we're in pretty good shape going into the playoffs. All right. Hey, and don't forget, I'm going to put in the chat, and it will be in the notes for you podcast listeners. This is the invite to our last regular season watch party at Cigar City. So go and RSVP. That is how we keep track of how many people are going to show up. Right now, it says only 6 people. The last watch party had over 50 people. So if you are planning on coming, please RSVP on this Facebook invite. Remember, your first beer is free for the first 50 people. So make sure you RSVP to come join us. And that is the Capitals game, April 13th. That is a 5:30 start time. And I don't know, maybe we'll give Laura a sign because she's going to be at that game. So we'll give her a sign and maybe we'll get on TV or something.
Yes, let's do it. I'm actually, I can't remember what section it is. It's kind of like, the middle section, like where like here's the bench and here's the bench. So it's like in that middle, like about a few rows back. So, and that's
Nice.
just something I've learned. Like sometimes when I travel alone and I get a single ticket, it's like half of the cost of the seats next to it that are only selling for sets of 2. So I've kind of
true. Yeah, because there's just usually trying to offload the ticket. They've got that extra. So good strategy.
Yeah, so I found a
But
good.
what do you think? What do you think about going to games by yourself? Because I've done it many times actually, and I used to actually because I'd travel for work and I'd be by myself, and not always fortunate enough that the Lightning are in town. But I'll go to games just by myself because I'll be 7:00 at night by myself. Go to the hotel or go watch a random hockey game or basketball game or whatever's in town. Do you get lonely? Do you like it? Like, what's it like to go?
I actually I love it, and I didn't get too much into my story earlier, but and I won't like take up too much time, but
No, tell us the whole story. We want the whole story.
the highlight reel, I call it. So I lost my mom when I was like 4 or 5 years old, and I ended up in foster care until I was like 13. I got adopted. Those parents divorced by the time I was 16. I went off to college, kind of got a little wild and just didn't have any direction. I think like I just grew up with all those feelings of loneliness and just like, rejection and just all these fears in life. And then, this journey I've been on these last few years, I've overcome those fears. And like, I connect with people now through my story, whether it's, here in Tampa or going to away games. I get to tell people, what I'm doing and why I'm doing it. And, again, like I said earlier, in hopes that I inspire other people to do, life's short. We're not promised tomorrow. So get on that plane and go somewhere by yourself and, talk to other fans in that arena. You never know why that person might be there. So it's just really cool to just connect with people and just overcome those things. Another reason I I lost my dad to suicide back in 2012. And that really is what set me down the dark path that I ended up with alcohol and with drugs. And I just kind of like lost myself in all that. And so, yeah, I ended up just really in a dark spot and just found myself, with the wrong people. And then I was in 3 rehabs in North Carolina. I knew, like, we say in recovery, like, you'll be willing to get the help that you need when you're like sick and tired of being sick and tired. And I just found myself at the end of my rope. And I knew if I didn't get the help that I needed, there wasn't going to be much left. And so I actually moved down to Florida from North Carolina with a friend I used to skydive with. That was, a really big part of my life at one point that helped me, like, I guess, cope with the loss of my father. But it wasn't in a healthy way. It just kind of like covered it up instead of like helped me process it. But a few years go by, and like I said, I connect with a friend I used to skydive with, and he bought an RV and moved it from North Carolina down to Zephyr Hills, and that's how I got down here. And I've got tons of stories, in between all of these stories that I'm sharing now. But long story short, I ended up in another rehab all in 1 year, and it was through the Salvation Army, and it was through that program that a lot happened. They had patience with me, and a lot of the programs I had been through didn't have patience with me, and they actually had season tickets to the Lightning and the Bucks game, and I got to go to one each. But I grew up watching football and other sports, but where I grew up in a little small town, it's got like 1,500 people, just hockey nobody was a fan of hockey. So, coming down here and literally going to my first game, I fell in love. I was like, wow, like the energy here, people, are having fun. I was with other people in recovery, and there's actually a whole network of us that really love the Lightning. And I think I'm going to miss it there. I think it's the second. It is the week of the Washington game. I think it's when we play the Senators. It's going to be recovery night then. But there's a lot of us, and I just learned how to have fun and do it, sober. And I've actually had a few conversations with Austin Watson. I don't know if y'all seen the block party with his story and the fact that he's so open about it. Both him and his wife, they both celebrated 5 years in January. I celebrated 5 years last December. So yeah, that's why I do what I do. I don't mind traveling alone. Life's just short. Life's about the journey, and that's why I do it. Because I don't ever feel alone. Like, I know people that are going to the game, or I know I'm going to make friends when I get there. So.
Yeah. No, the funny thing is, especially for Lightning fans, if you do go to a away game with other Lightning fans, is we're all friends, even though we might not know each other. Like the game I went to in Nashville this season, I ended up going alone because my buddy had to bail because his mother went to the hospital the last minute. And I was like, oh man, that sucks. But I totally don't blame you for staying. So I was by myself for that game. But really, I wasn't, because even though we lost that game in Nashville, after the game, all the Lightning fans found each other on Broadway and were hanging out. And of course, I told them about this show, so a lot of them might be listening tonight, and I think a couple of them are going to the game on Saturday. So it's like, we're all friends. Just go say hi to someone. But I'm also like, I could go to a game and just like, don't talk to me. I can just zone in by myself and watch every single game. But that's an awesome story. And
I have to show you something though, right quick. So you probably can't read it, but I got this stick from Watson, and it says, "Laura, congrats on 5 years. Keep on keeping on." So that was pretty cool. Like you said, I've gotten to have a few conversations with him, and
he has his own story.
Yeah. That's pretty cool. Just wanted to. I had to show. I might. Well, anybody that knows me knows like I collect stuff just because it's it's part of the experience for me. It's just part of the memories made. And so, like I said, I talk to people away, and I get to hear their story too. It's not just all, definitely not about me, but I definitely don't mind sharing my story and helping people open up to share theirs, because like that's really important to me.
And you've got a real local celebrity here. Jay Retcher is in the chat, and seems like you got a pretty good fan with Jay Retcher, a good guy. So
he's a good guy. Hey Jay.
But yeah, thank you for sharing that with us. I mean, that's really cool that you could kind of find, some happiness in this team. And I think you have a unique story, but I think like I have a similar story with the team. Sometimes I just need something to grab onto, and this is my team, this is my escape away from all the other BS that's out there. When this team's on, and when I'm at a game or when I'm just watching a game, it's just takes me into a happy place. If you follow me on Instagram, that's what I post. You post a picture when I'm at a game, at my happy place again. So really, really cool. So was it like right away when you went to that first game, you're just like, oh, how come nobody told me about this?
Yeah, that's exactly. I was just like in awe of the game itself, the fans, the experience, just literally like the energy in that place was, I've never experienced like anything like it. So that's, I think, why I do go a little extra like every game. Like I have this tradition where like I go to the glass for warm-ups, I make a sign, like it just takes me back, to the beginning where it all started. And obviously I didn't start making signs right away, but it's obviously it's evolved over time. But like you said, it's like the work that I do, I'm very passionate about it, but I also have the passion of being a fan and being a part of something like bigger. It's a big organization, it's a big sport, but being the fans that we are, like we feel a part of that. Like it doesn't feel like it's bigger than me, but I do feel like I get to be a part of something bigger. And it's incredible. Like I feel like we're all just a part of the team at times. But that's what I love about the organization. When I found out like all that the organization does for the community, I fell in love with that. It's just it's amazing. How can you not love it? And I don't know much about, I've learned a little bit about other teams and other players that have charities and stuff, and I just think we just have set the bar so high with that, and I think it's incredible.
Yeah, so true. Now, was there a fight in your first game?
Oh gosh,
not in the stands, on the ice.
Yeah, there was, because I was kind of taken back. I'm like, they're letting them fight, and this is awesome. I think that was something that I fell in love with. Like
gets them every time.
Yeah, and they're going toe to toe. They're just back and forth, and they stop to have a fight, and then they just pick back up and keep going. And I'm like, oh, that's incredible too. So yeah, I fell in love with it.
Yeah, me and Schooley have this thing that we just love bringing people to their first game and just seeing their reactions. And it's always the best when a fight breaks out, because they usually don't realize that you can do that. I remember bringing somebody from work years ago, and it was one of those games where the puck dropped, and the guys already decided they were fighting right at the puck drop, right? So that was her first like couple minutes of hockey, was an immediate fight, and she was like, "Can they do that?" She knew nothing about hockey, but yeah, it's really cool to bring people to their first game, especially when that fight breaks out, especially at Amalie Arena too, because it's such an exciting atmosphere out there. By the way, Jano, and bringing back the uppercuts and the big blows on Wednesday night. Are we fine with Jano if he just becomes this enforcer and doesn't ever score again? We're good with that, right?
I'm here for it. So
I want the gold with the.
I think he's capable
points.
of both. Yeah, he can do both. Come on.
Well, he had that first season in Nashville where he scored over 20 goals and he hasn't quite got there yet. And, if there's any offensive powerhouse teams to do it with, you think this is the one. So, hey, the funny things happen when teams get to the playoffs. I mean, look at Nick Paul's playoff. I know we only were in one series last year, but Nick Paul in the playoffs last year was so money. We've had players in the past, like, Pally has always been so clutch in key situations and in playoffs. So you never know who's going to emerge. And if Taylor Janot can emerge as that guy who just, starts taking off and goes on that big goal scoring streak in the playoffs, we'll take it, because if anyone does that in the playoffs, in addition to, the Cooch, the Point, the Stammers, and those guys who are going to get theirs, we're going to be in really good shape. So I would love to see Janot not just knocking people around, but scoring goals. But I'm fine if he just wants to fight. He's a UFC fighter and slash hockey player. We should call him Slash. Get that going.
Yeah,
Laura,
we'll get that. Well, I'll make a sign. This
All
is
right.
I can see it. This
What's-
is the sign I made. You probably can't read it, but
No, I can see it. Oh yeah, for the last one. You didn't check
It's
off
got-
Honda Center.
oh wait. Well, actually, funny story. This was the original sign that I took to the first 3 arenas, and then I was in such a hurry because, like I said, by that part of the trip, Tony and I were actually at different hotels, but I was in a hurry to go get him and then get down to Anaheim. I left the sign in the hotel. So I was like, Tony, we're going to Walmart and I'm going to make a new sign, and this is just what's going to happen. So I literally
It's
went to
dedication.
I was like, I didn't come this far and put in all this work to not do that. Like it's just a part of it's not even about, it getting any attention, or it's just it's for me and me making the memories that I'm making. So I was like, it's just a part of the trip. Like I planned this all out, and it was like,
That's your next journey.
Yeah,
That's your next journey, to hit all the Walmarts. People do that. I'm not even. There's a site for that. I'm not even kidding.
There's too many.
I'm telling you, next road trip that you and Tony go on, I just want to go as a cameraman that documents this, because I just have this feeling that by the end of this trip, you guys are fighting like an old married couple. You guys aren't together, right?
No.
Okay. I didn't think so, but I imagine it had that vibe of like you guys have been married for years and you're just nagging each other.
Or kind of like a brother sister even.
Okay,
so
that's
like
a better analogy.
yeah. Like the annoying big brother, and the
there he is.
pesky little,
There will be no more road trips, Tony says in the chat. No, Tony,
That's what I
one
told
more.
him. I told him, like, no.
One more. We can make it this a documentary. Bally's will pick it up in the off season as one of their little lightning specials. I think we got to do it. I'll bring the camera. I'll do the editing. You guys just have to do your thing.
No, I mean, it was fun. Like for the most part, it was good having, company, along the trip. And there was my friend Lauren and her daughter were originally like a part of like my original plan. And I think I was telling Tony at one of the games, and so he wanted in on it. And then luckily he did, because my friend Lauren backed out, I think back in like January. So it worked out. We had fun, so made a lot of memories. And but if we're gonna do a documentary, we need more than just me and Tony. Okay.
Oh no, that's all we need.
No.
Maybe we can bring Andrew from Sticks of Fire just because he's so dang loud.
Yeah.
Donnie,
And funny.
listen,
He's a pretty funny guy.
He is funny. I'm very upset. He told me he's not going to be at the game tomorrow night. I'm like, what? All right. So Donnie Pepin, if you do go to Toronto, do not trust Donnie Pepin. Oh, I'm just kidding. I guess you can trust Donnie Pepin.
Anybody that like
Man.
just like ends with "we'll keep you safe," like, is that a setup or is that true? I'm just
Well,
kidding.
he
I'm
is
kidding.
a Leafs fan, so I don't
It's
know.
on the internet, so it's true.
I don't know how much you can trust a Leafs fan.
Must
It's
be
weird. He's a Bucks fan and a Leafs fan. Donnie, he was dropped on his head when he was a youngster. I don't know how you get that combination. Someday we'll have Donnie on the show, maybe, but not anytime soon. Not until we knock Toronto out of the playoffs.
Yeah.
For the post
Yeah, we'll have that talk. Yeah, the post game. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's wrap this thing up. It's Friday night. It's 6:00. I'm tired. I'm grumpy. My voice is just barely hanging on. And I know you guys probably have all kinds of stuff to do too. So anything else you guys want to get out there before we sign off? Laura, how can people follow you?
So I'm on Instagram and Facebook. I do have a Twitter. I'm not really on Twitter as much, but on Instagram it is, I think I changed it. It's Tampa Bay with like BAE and then the number 20. And then Facebook
Only
just
the 20th one that's come up with that.
well, I know, but well,
Very
I go back and
original.
forth, but very well. The 20, I had to make it something about obviously Nick Paul, and I'll keep it short. But when we got him, and ABC Action did the story on his charity points by Paul. I don't know if y'all know the story behind it, but long story short, he lost a friend to suicide when he was in high school, and as I shared earlier, I lost my dad, so that hit close to home for me. So knowing that, you've got this NHL hockey player that's using his platform to raise awareness for mental health and all those things. So like that just pulled on my heartstrings. So like when a player like, and all of our players support a charity, but he has his own charity, and he partnered with the Crisis Center of Tampa Bay, being when he signed, for the 7-year contract. So like that just made me even a bigger fan. So
Yeah, it's a great story. And, all players kind of hitch their wagon to a charity, but, that one you can tell really means a lot to him. So, and I know, shout out to Thomas's Thunderbolt, because I know they've raised some money for
yes.
balls too. So great charity to be associated with. John, it's baseball season, and there's a new podcast about. How do we find this podcast?
It's on X at Inrasion. Same thing with YouTube at Inrasion, and you can find us on Facebook at Inrasion. And we're gonna do our first live show next week. We've done a couple recorded shows just to get the new equipment all tested, but we're looking forward to having some fun talking some Rays baseball.
I should come on sometime soon. I've gone to their only game so far this season.
So you've been to 100% of the games?
All of them.
Yes, all of them.
Mixed up for the 0 I went to last year. But I wanted to start it off right. Not a fun one last night, but hey,
no. It started right with a leadoff home run by the league's leading hitter last year, and then it just went south.
Yeah. They're back at it tonight, right?
Yeah, I think they first pitch is in 40 minutes.
All right. Well, we got to let you go so you can watch that. But yeah, check out Inrasion, and if you're planning to come to the game tomorrow, come hang out with me and Laura at the Sticks of Fire tailgate. I'm sure our old friend, our old bud, he's still our bud. The Stash is probably going to be there too. He's usually one of the guys behind the grill. Along with old Rob Lewis. So it's always a good time. I actually haven't been to a Sticks of Fire tailgate yet, but this, I guess, technically will be my first one, but it's always fun hanging out with you guys. So, all right. Well, that's it. Thank you guys for joining the show. And sorry, Matthew Orozco's comments here are, we took the L, you're band shooter. You can ban me from the show if we lose tomorrow night, since I haven't been to a game in a while. All right. Well, this has been We the Thunder. Don't forget to
They gave Wisna to somebody
be.
else.
Oh, wrong button. Don't forget to be the Thunder.
Oops.
That's it?